Because it's a day that ends in Y, there's a new Sig Sauer model. It is the Sig Sauer P320 AXG Scorpion, because what's in a name if it's not running off the page with characters? Are you ready? Stand by. First shots with the AXG Scorpion. Pretty strong, pretty strong. So welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David and I'll be your guide in pursuit of practical pistol proficiency. Now the P320 pistol has been very popular and has enjoyed success in recent years, getting picked up by the military contracts, and this is the most recent variation of that pistol. Now, Sig Sauer, because they can't help themselves, competes with themselves by releasing new models perpetually, which is why I made the joke, and this is the latest iteration in that field. For a long time, people have been clamoring for a metal-framed striker-fired gun. Many have tried and few have had any measure of success, and this represents Sig Sauer's attempt at wading into that arena. And what is most new and noteworthy about this pistol is that it has an aluminum frame on a striker-fired gun, and it is one of the first striker-fired guns where you have removable G10 grips on the side, and even the back strap has a G10 grip panel. Now on higher-end guns, I like to do a first shots type video where I take the gun to the range, handle it, go over fit and finish, shoot it for a little bit, only about like 100 to 200 rounds, and then share a video with you of kind of what the gun store impressions would be if you were to go into the store and pick this gun up and check it out. However, I'm not going to waste your time with an unboxing video and just talking about it for like 15 minutes without ever having shot it. So I did take it to the range, I was able to get some rounds through it, and this is that first shots video. Subscribe to the channel and check back for the full video where we can talk about it once the honeymoon phase is over and I can give you my full unvarnished thoughts, because we are probably going to be trashing the finish on this gun because that is an issue some of these SIG guns have had in the past. So we'll see how this one stands up to a whole lot of holster wear. And for my YouTube censors who will be reviewing this video, this is not a promotional video. I'm not trying to sell any guns or promote any gun brands. This is an unmodified pistol completely as it comes from the box, and this is for informational purposes only. All the filming was done on a closed range and a closed set. So all your boxes are checked, YouTube. Let's let it happen. Now, when we judge a pistol, it's important to remember the context in which the pistol was designed to be used. Personally, I think this pistol was just designed for SIG guys to flex on other people that they've got this unobtainium pistol, and the prices on Gunbroker sure reflect it because they're going like 50% to 60% over what MAP pricing is right now. These things are hard to come by. And to that point, it comes with a challenge coin right there in the case. I'm not sure what the challenge is where it warrants giving you a coin, but Sig Sauer fans seem to like it. The only challenge I had to live through was opening up my wallet and taking the beating that getting one of these was. But joking aside, this is basically an aluminum framed M18 without a manual safety. It has about a 4-inch barrel. It has a full length grip, but the Sig Sauer P320 is sort of like the Beretta 92 in that it has an abbreviated grip, and you can see my palm hangs down past the edge of the grip right there. So the AXG Scorpion is set up for home defense or concealed carry. It is only about 32 ounces, so it actually can be carried, and it falls right in that sweet spot of the middleweight guns, which is where I really like guns to be. I compete with Beretta 92s, which weigh about that same weight, so the gun is very handy in that weight class, and I enjoyed shooting it. It has a full-length rail, so it is going to work for home defense. You can hang lights off of it. And it has a pretty FDE finish with these pretty grips, which makes it perfectly suitable for flexing on Instagram. So starting with the case or the gun caboodle that comes with the gun, this is a very, very nice case. I normally hate gun caboodles. I rail on them in basically all of my videos, but if they were this high quality where I don't mind that it takes up space in my closet because it is such a nice case. It has these briefcase style combination locks that flip open and keep the lid closed. However, it's worth noting that this does not have hasps where you can attach exterior locks. I'm not sure whether or not this is going to be suitable for flying with as far as the TSA is concerned. I would probably want some locks that they don't have keys for, but that's another story. So when you open it, you get this lovely felt-lined case, as you see right here. Nice foam cutouts that fit the gun and can accommodate an optic should you decide to mount one. Magazine will start in the gun and comes with 2 magazines in there, and your challenge coin is wedged right there in the side, so you can, I don't know, put it in your pocket and flex or whatever these things are for. So the case is actually quite nice. You're going to feel pretty special since it's about a $1,000 gun, opening the case for the first time and getting it out to look at it. The 3 magazines are a good value. I feel like you do need to have more than just 2 magazines when you start to get to that price point on a production gun, and they give you 3, which is a nice value add. So out of the box, it's looking real strong as far as value is concerned. And the magazines that come with the gun are high quality. SIG makes good magazines, generally speaking, but when they're brand new, and getting all the rounds into the mag is gonna be a bit of a challenge when the magazines are new. If you've got a mag loader, it's gonna be a good idea to use it for that first range session. And you know, I can't help myself but to give things nicknames, and this is going to be no different, except for I stole this nickname from somebody, one of my subscribers. The P326, because it's an aluminum framed 320, kind of looks and feels like a 226. So the P326 is what I'm going to refer to this on the go forward. And the alloy frame is kind of special. And the reason that is the Berettas, which when I hand somebody who generally shoots plastic guns and they cycle the action, they're like, wow, that's buttery smooth action. This gun features that same feeling when you move the slide back and forth. It just has a higher quality feel than most of your plastic guns used for this same mission. So it just feels like a higher end gun. It does have a dual nested captured recoil spring, and it is weighted appropriately for a 4-inch gun where it's not too hard to actuate the slide, but it is gonna take a little bit of effort if you've got weaker hands. And the alloy frame is brilliant. The beaver tail that they offer at the back is kind of a nice little flare. Getting on the gun feels good. The grip panels, historically the P320s have had issues with traction on the side of your support hand. The G10 grips do go a long way towards making that better. And then actually getting on the pistol and presenting to target, it just feels more solid than your polymer guns. It doesn't feel like the frame is flexing in any sort of way. There's not that little bit of sponginess, that give that a lot of the plastic service guns tend to have. And the trigger. The trigger is something a lot of people are going to be curious about. It has the flat-faced Legion style trigger that is skeletonized. It is a very short as far as the throw is concerned, and the reset is about what you'd expect. And I'm going to get into the quality on the trigger, but first we need to talk about the sacred relationship between content creator and you, the subscriber. If you're not already a subscriber, now's a great time to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I make world-class firearms content, he said with heavy sarcasm. You watch this content. Being a man of means and impeccable taste watching a video on a $1,000 metal frame striker pistol, you're contemplating your next flex. You've decided your wallet game needs to be upgraded, so you contact a custom leather maker to get your new wallet made, and you get my logo stamped on the side of that wallet. So when you go to the store and whatever frivolous display of wealth that you decide to purchase, everyone in the store will know of the good work we're doing here on the Humble Marksman channel.
That's it. That's my bad.
Joking aside, I'd appreciate it, guys, if you could hit that like button, and maybe the best thing you could do would be to share this video with any of your gun buddies on the socials, whoever might find value in watching a video like this. If you want to take the relationship further, maybe check out some of the links in the description where you can see my Patreon, where if you like this style content, there is exclusive content offered over there and 3 to 5 blog posts per week. So with that said, let's get back to the show. Now, the trigger. People on YouTube have a hard time talking about what a quality trigger is. So let's define that real quick and then we'll talk about how this trigger is. A quality trigger, in my estimation, is going to be there's the smooth take-up that's very gentle and predictable until you hit a very crisp, defined, predictable wall that is very solid. much like a 1911. That really kind of sets the standard for what a good trigger is. So you come to a very hard wall that basically has no movement until you put enough pressure on that wall to overcome the sear hammer engagement generally. And then the trigger goes past with just a little bit of over travel. You don't want no over travel, but just a little bit. So the analogy for this trigger is going to be like when you go and make your breakfast, you decide you're having oatmeal. The kids start fighting in the next room, so you go and play referee, get the kids to stop fighting, come back to enjoy your oatmeal in peace, so you think. You take that spoon and you hit the crust on top of the oatmeal that's been sitting out for 15 minutes cooling off. It takes a little bit of pressure to get through that crust, and then you're down there where the good oatmeal is. That's kind of what it's like to pull this trigger. That's not to say this is a bad trigger. It's totally appropriate given the price point and quality of this gun, but it is kind of mushy. And to illustrate what I mean, you get on the wall and there's a nice resistance, but you keep pushing and there's just this mush and sponge that you have to kind of go through. And I mean, there's probably, I don't know, a 32nd of an inch of travel once you actually hit the wall before it actually releases. So the trigger's honestly quite good. On my scale with a 3 average pull, it was pulling at about 3.5 pounds, but that's another issue because this pistol does not have a trigger blade safety. Is that something you really want to be carrying around? Only you can answer that question, but I can tell you as a competitive shooter and somebody who likes good triggers, this trigger checks the box for me. I don't find it wanting in any way. I'm not going to try and firm up the wall or anything crazy like that. It's good enough. It's just not quite the next level that you would expect from a semi-custom or custom grade pistol. And considering this comes from the Sig Sauer custom shop, I would expect a slightly better trigger than what it comes with, but honestly, the thing's not that bad. Both the frame and the slide are Cerakoted, and people who have shot some of the other SIG high-end guns like the Legion 226, which I have a video review of that you should check out, should be used to the SIG finishes kind of giving up the ghost a little bit with good wear. I suspect once my holster shows up for this and I start hanging things off the rail that this Cerakote is going to be no different from every other set of Cerakote. It does start to show cracking and fracturing and wear marks on the high points, but we'll have to catch that in the main video. But it looks great right now as far as pictures are concerned. It is a very pretty gun. Talking about the sights are the SIG X-ray sights, and if you've never looked through those before, they offer a high visibility front sight. They offer a U-notch rear sight that has 2 blacked out tritium vials right there. So in the dark, it gives you a 3-dot sight picture, but in daylight, it gives you a high-vis front, blacked out rear sort of sight picture. The front sight blade is pretty fat, which makes precision shooting a little bit more difficult, and there's not a lot of air on either side of the sight. So it's not my favorite setup. I like target style sights with a thin front blade and a little bit more air on the side, but the point of aim, point of impact on the sights actually was quite good with the 124 and 125 grain loads that I tested the pistol with. Another notable feature about these sights is that the optic cut actually does not take the rear sight off. So if you're somebody who likes co-witness irons, should you decide to mount an optic on this pistol, you have the opportunity there. That said, I think with this particular model, and the gun broker community seems to be echoing this, is that the people who want this really want it, and it's probably going to be a lot of the irons only type guys. The sights are quite good. I wouldn't mess with the sights at all. I think they're completely serviceable out of the box, even though I don't like U-notch rear sights. And you notice I didn't really get into the ergonomics on the pistol, and that's because I want to talk about it in the context of actually shooting the gun. So when you get to the range and you grip the pistol, you've got this one finger groove right here, which pretty much everybody can probably get on board with, which gives you a good undercut underneath the trigger guard and lets you really kind of lock in on the frame. The G10 rear grip panel does do a decent job of biting into your palm and sort of planting the gun. The aluminum checkering on the front strap of the gun is, I mean, it looks checkered, and we're going to check the box that it's got that feature, but it's not very aggressive. It doesn't bite into your hand like a good 1911 checker would, but it's better than a smooth front strap. Getting into it there, so it locks in beautifully. The sculpt under the grip tang is quite good, allowing you excellent access to the slide release as well as a good pocket to get your hand onto the pistol. So presenting the gun like we're doing here, it's very easy to get a good grip. More importantly, it's the right kind of blocky. It's not like a Glock where it feels like a 2x4 with eased edges, but it has enough of sort of a gentle radius on the gun that it provides a broad enough area that hits you in the palm softly. But more importantly, when you put your hand on the pistol, and put your good front to back squeeze on it, it actually helps the sights return to zero. Now, because this is a high bore axis pistol, which all the P320s are, it does have a good bit of muzzle climb, much like the P226 Legion did that I tested. However, because it loses a lot of the energy from the gun in lifting and recoil, it returns wonderfully. I had no problem shooting this rapidly. In fact, shooting this with a double drill between 7 and 10 yards, I'm not sure exactly what it was, I was able to immediately print an itty bitty group with 16 rounds with only one flyer a couple inches low once I kind of realized how I needed to hold the gun with my support hand, and the gun tracked beautifully for me. Another unintended consequence that I didn't realize was going to be there and I quite like is the actual magwell. You can't really see it. It doesn't photograph well given the texture and color on the grip panels, is that the magwell is pretty darn big, and almost immediately with zero dry fire practice I was able to do sort of a speed load when I figured this out. It was almost Instagram worthy, so I think this gun actually could be stretched into a competition role, but I quite like the feel of this thing, honestly. Shooting the gun, it was very easy to be accurate based around the trigger reach and where your finger sort of falls on this flat blade. They have the angles and everything, at least for my hand size, dialed in perfectly so that it was very easy to pull the gun straight to the rear, and I was able to print pretty small groups pretty much immediately, and shooting at distance was not that hard either, and I'm not much of an iron sight shooter. So the initial review, and this is fully in the honeymoon period, I've only had the gun a couple days, is overwhelmingly positive. I quite like the gun, and I think it's a good value at about the $1,000 price point, which is what they're supposed to be asking for this thing. I think it's good value. Comes with 3 magazines, good enough trigger, good enough sights. It's got grip panels, and it is the only striker-fired alloy framed gun that I'm aware of. At $1,500 or $1,600 off a gun broker, not sure I'd go that far. I think that you would be better off just waiting to get something at the reasonable price it's going to eventually settle in at. But because this is a limited edition gun, you may not be able to get one. That might just be the price, is $1,500 or $1,600. I don't know, but I'm quite taken by the gun. I think it's a very good gun. We'll see how it does in the full review, so subscribe and check back later if you'd like to see how it does with a bunch of holster wear and a bunch more rounds through it. I appreciate you guys. Now's your last chance to hit that like button before the outro starts. I mean...